You know that feeling, right? It's late, you are physically wiped out, and all you want to do is sleep. But the second your head hits the pillow, your brain decides, nope, let's think about everything right now. Your body is exhausted, but your mind is just wired. It's one of the most maddening parts of modern life. I'm willing to bet that hits home for a lot of you. And this isn't just a random feeling, it's a real battle that's happening in our bedrooms every single night. So in this explainer, we're going to dig into the science behind this whole mess. And we're going to do that by looking at two of the main villains of good sleep, each backed by some serious scientific research. First, we've got the internal threat, all that psychological stress we carry around. And second, there's the external threat, the nonstop blue light from our screens. All right, let's dive in. So let's start with that saboteur inside our own heads, stress. We all know it feels like stress wrecks our sleep, but scientists wanted to figure out exactly how it does that, and they designed a really fascinating experiment to find out. The question they were asking was actually pretty simple, but also really profound. What happens on a biological level when we try to take a simple nap right after being seriously stressed out? Okay, so here's the setup, and it's pretty clever. First, people did a simple memory task. Then, the stress group got hit with something called the Montreal Imaging Stress Task. Imagine doing a really hard math test on a computer that's telling you you're failing, all while a fake study leader is basically judging you. Yikes. The other group just did a chill, neutral version. Then, everybody got to take a 90-minute nap. And afterwards, scientists analyzed their sleep data. Now, to see if that stress test actually worked, the researchers measured cortisol. The easiest way to think about cortisol is like your body's built-in emergency alarm. When you're under pressure, your body pumps it out to make you feel alert and ready for action. It's the hormone behind that fight or flight feeling. And wow, did that stress test work? Just look at this. You can see the cortisol, that emergency alarm, just shooting through the roof in the stress group compared to the control group. And it wasn't just a quick spike either. Their cortisol levels stayed way up high for pretty much the whole experiment. The stress was very, very real. So, with their internal emergency alarms blaring, these participants were then told, okay, time for a nap. What do you think happened? Well, the results were part totally predictable and part really surprising. First, the predictable part, 17 minutes. That's how long it took the stressed out group, on average, to finally fall asleep. That's nearly double the time of the calm group, who drifted off in just 9 minutes. So, point one, stress makes it way harder to even start sleeping. And once they finally did get to sleep, the stress wasn't done with them. The researchers found it hammered their slow wave activity. That's the really good stuff, the deepest, most restorative sleep your body gets. You can think of it as the brain's deep cleaning cycle, and stress was basically blocking that from happening. But here's the twist. And this is the part that's kind of wild. That whole negative effect on deep sleep, it disappeared after about 30 minutes. It's like the brain just fought back. After that initial hit, it compensated and got right back to its normal deep sleep pattern for the rest of the nap. And that's exactly what the researchers themselves took away from it. While a big dose of stress definitely makes it harder to get to sleep and messes with the beginning of our rest, it turns out our brains are actually way more resilient than we thought. They can bounce back pretty quick. Okay, so that's villain number one. Let's pivot to our second antagonist, the external threat of blue light. Now for this, we're not just looking at one experiment. We're zooming out to look at a huge review that analyzed the results from 36 different studies on this topic. And before we even get to the results, just look at this. We're not talking about flimsy evidence here. This review was built on a solid foundation of research. 24 of the studies were rated strong quality and 12 were moderate quality. So the conclusions here are pretty solid. So what did they find? Well, across all those studies, a very clear picture emerged. Getting hit with blue light in the evening does more than just make it a little tough to doze off. It systematically delays when you fall asleep. It messes with your internal body clock, it tanks your overall sleep quality, and it can even make you feel less functional the next day. One study even found it makes you feel more energetically aroused. You know, that classic wired feeling right when you want to be winding down. So now that we've identified our two main culprits, the big question is, what do we do about it? How can we use this information to actually build a better strategy for rest? Let's put them side by side. Stress, its main attack is making it take forever to fall asleep. It hits your deep sleep hard, but only for a little while. Its weapon is that cortisol emergency alarm, and it's an internal threat. Blue light, on the other hand, plays a different game. It actually delays your entire sleep schedule by messing with your body clock. Its effect is more of a general decrease in quality, and it's an external, environmental threat. And this all leads us to the core actionable takeaway. To really defend your sleep, you need a two-pronged strategy. You have to manage your internal state, your stress, in the moments right before you go to bed. But you also have to manage your external environment, the light, throughout the entire evening. They're two different problems and they need two different solutions. Which leaves us with a final big question to chew on. We've seen our brains can be remarkably resilient to short-term stress, but our fundamental biology seems really vulnerable to this light-filled world we've built. So as our lives get brighter and more demanding, are we just stuck in this constant battle to reclaim our nights? Or will our biology eventually figure out a way to adapt?